Alrighty folks, welcome back to Space Engineers. It's dark out, but we're going to be working inside. And I'm setting up a little bit of a hab. I'm over here at the main refinery base. Made a few additions and changes. I moved the power over, I built a landing pad. And I've got an automated drone that will go over to the mine over there and bring ore back. It works about 3 out of 4 times. Every once in a while, when it's doing the flight recorder block, it'll just head for a waypoint and then just keep going. Sometimes it just stops. I don't know. It works sometimes it doesn't. It just reminds me of why I like using the PAM script, because the PAM script is awesome. But in this series, I wanted to at least try to do it with just the built-in blocks, and it does work about 75% of the time. It works. I push a button, flies over there, fills up, and comes back. And we might look at that a little bit in the video. I'm going to keep testing and see if there's anything I can do to work around it. But today we're going to set up a little bit of a hab here at the base and do some automation around that here and there. And I've got a couple hydrogen engines going because I ran out of battery. We sucked the base batteries dry. I was running that shit back and forth a few times. So we got the engines screaming away. But in the meantime, let's pull out some parts here. And let's get this welded up. I've got a kitchen, a bed, shower, and a bathroom here, as well as the survival kit. And then we're going to make this airtight and get some automation going to keep the oxygen tank full. It's handy now having the survival kit here. I don't have to keep running over to my ship, hopping in there, or the rover. So the other mine over there has bottomed out. I think we looked at that in the last video. And it got a bunch of ice. I've brought quite a bit of that ice over here. And we need to reposition it to get to the iron, but that'll be another video. So I've got a door here. I have a air vent fan there. I'm going to get this set up so it's airtight. And I think we can do that with the corridor. I want the corridor, probably a light actually. And we need some interior plate. Grab that. There's probably one of those there. And then I need the corridor. Maybe do a couple T intersections here, because I don't think there's like a smooth side. Yeah, there's a window side, which I don't really want. Window side both. Quarter windowed roof. Oh, that's cool. Then we get into the narrow stuff. So yeah, I think we'll just do a couple of T intersections here. It's not going to be the best hab ever, but there'll be a space where I can not have to worry about running out of oxygen. That'll make our suit power last a little longer. Plus I can sleep. I don't know if there's a mod that lets you use the beds to sleep through the night. We need to get some more parts queued up. Oh, we're out. Uh-oh. Are we out of iron? Oh, no. Well, this might be a completely different episode. We are out of iron. Interesting. I thought I had plenty of that left. Alright, well, I'm going to take the rover out and get some iron, and then we'll continue with the build. So, fun fact, I completely misjudged where the iron was. So I'm going to have to redo my mine a little bit. I thought this whole area had iron under it, but it's all ice over there where I built the drill pit, so we need to drill here. But I can extend over and build another drill pit here. That's not a big deal, but I did. I should have turned the ore detector on, and I didn't, so that was my bad. Alright, let's grab components back out of here. There we go. And it is nighttime, as you can see. Nice sky, though. I think that's a mod. I don't remember which mod does that. Space just got real, maybe? Something like that. Alright, turn off the old ore detector. And we're going to head back to base. We've got a supply post over there. We need to go check some of that stuff out at some point. I've been too busy working on the automated drone. It took hours and hours to set that all up and test, and it mostly works now. And I'll show that. Probably next video I'll show the drone and how that's all set up. It's just, it's so much work with all the different blocks and the recorders. And I may, since I've proven I can do that, I may just go ahead and replace it with the PAM script. I don't want to have to redo that pain. And it just doesn't work that great in atmosphere. The automated blocks work much better in space. And like I said, it does work. It just doesn't work great. And it's not super reliable. Alright, let's see if we can back up into this connector here. Something like that. Yeah, that'll work. Then that should pull the stone and whatnot out of there. And then I have sorters set up. So if we go look at the basic refinery, it's going to be doing the stone. If we look at the industrial refinery, it's going to be doing the iron. Then we can start making stuff again. So that's cool. Are you producing? Sort of. Go ahead and put that into production. Fire up a few more interior plates. I went ahead and put some speed modules on the assemblers. So they're rocking and rolling. Those engines are super loud. But I want to get some automation set up on the engines and on the airlocks and stuff. That's what this video is going to be about. Automating the base a little bit. Okay. So now we got that. We should be airtight. Use one of these new lab doors there. They're kind of cool. Then let's close you. And then we should be able to, yeah, there we go. Now we can really hear the engines. We're going to have to automate those. How are the batteries doing? Let's just go check here real quick. So if I look at battery, I've got all kinds of batteries. Some of them are even hidden from view. Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. They're charged up. Or somewhat charged up anyway. 9 minutes. Cool. So those engines should be getting going soon. Actually, let's just go ahead and turn those off. I'm going to start naming stuff. Well, I guess I should name them hydrogens so they're consistent. You start getting some stuff named. But I want to have an airlock system and some timer blocks and whatnot. So when I push one of these buttons, it'll like depressurize and open the doors, and it'll do the needful. And then I'll have buttons outside. And then I've got a connector set up. I think I borrowed that from Engineered Coffee, where it keeps the oxygen tank at a certain level. That's a neat idea. I'm going to set that back to depressurize. And then we're going to need some timer blocks and stuff to make this work. And I don't like wasting space with the full size timer blocks, so I think I'm going to make a little data center. Like on a hinge or something somewhere. But the idea is you have a connector and an event controller, so the connector connects when this needs oxygen. Stuff like that. So here's the hydrogen setup real quick. I got a couple of these new lab O2H2 generators. They're feeding into a tank, and I've got 2 engines out here. And I'm going to be putting some blocks and stuff around this. I ran out of concrete. It takes a lot of gravel to make the concrete. How are we doing on concrete? Do we have any made? We have 14. It's not many. And those were hiding out in the lobster. Throw those in there. Go ahead and get Stuff is scattered everywhere. Some of those and some of those. So we can build stuff. And then let's go to production and let's just fire up some concrete. So I need to go to this guy because assembler 2 is in co-op mode. And then it shouldn't be... Yeah, it shouldn't be queuing up anything on the survival kit. Alright, we'll let it chug through the gravel, what little gravel it has. And then I'm going to go ahead and get some more of these blocks down. Don't have many, but... And we're out. So where am I going to put the automation stuff? I'm going to have some probably more refineries here. We stick this over in a corner maybe. Maybe over here. So let's just do a hinge. That's probably the easiest. Alright, we need some parts. And then I'm going to need a bunch of timer blocks. Let's get like 4 of those and then a couple of event controllers. I'm going to need one for the lock, one for the engines. Yeah, I think that'll work. That'll at least get us started. Whee! Yeah, also I need to grind down this head. Need to add a medium head to it. I thought I grabbed... I must not have clicked quite right. Though the build planner is buggy. Tell you what, I'm going to put a temporary ramp right here. There we go. Alright, then we want to grab a medium head. And we're going to bring it down to 90 degrees so we can more easily look at it. And then somewhere out here I've got the right here, timer blocks. And I like the automaton timer blocks. They just look kind of cool. Let's get 3 of those across the top, and then we'll do some event controllers. Really? For sure I had those on the build planner. Here we go. And let's see. Actually, I need 2 event controllers for the battery, because I want one to turn the engines on. I want one to turn the engines off when they get to a certain level. That welded up, and then we'll go in here in the air and start sorting out the programming. There we go. Alright, let's go close you. And close you. Some air in here. Perfect. And with the engines off, we can hear ourselves think. Let's get recharged. Alright, let's set up the engines with the battery. That'll be easy. So it's going to be these blue ones here. So let's go ahead and... I love this block renaming mod. It's really nice. So we'll just reset the name. And I'm using ref for the refinery, and we're going to prefix that. Let's do the same for the timer blocks. So let's do reset name. I'm going to take the automaton out just to replace name. There we go. And then the group, we don't need a block, I don't think, for the engines. We just need an event controller. So we're going to call this event controller battery low. Have this battery charged. So for battery low, we're going to say stored power equal or greater than, no, less than. Let's say if they get down to 10%, we're going to kick the engines on. And that is going to be, woo. I think it's going to be these four. We can go, let's go double check these. Yeah, let's go ahead and name these. Prefix that. This is the battery low. Yep, ref battery. Alright, cool. So that's all good. Okay, if they're less than 10%, we're going to fire this. So in this case, we're going to go to groups. And hydrogen engines, toggle block on. Then this is going to be very similar. We're going to say stored power. Go add these batteries. I need to check the and. So it looks at all of them. In this case, it's going to say if they're charged back up to, let's say, 50%. We're going to turn the engines off. So again here, if it's greater than, then we're going to toggle them off. Toggle block off. There we go. So that's our emergency engine backup power done. So then we need some timer blocks to do the airlock stuff. So we want a timer block to pressurize. Air block 2D. I think I'm just kind of working through this as I go here. Oh, then I need an event controller for the oxygen tank. We'll set that up as well. But let's kind of walk through this. Actually, let's get some stuff named. So we have. That's an outside door. We're not using that. But it is a refinery door, so. All the stuff I'm going to use in automation. Kind of wanted to get renamed. So these guys, prefix. We have a button panel. I don't remember if I have that. I don't remember where these are, so I'll have to go label them. We can reset the name and then we'll add the prefix. Like that. One of those was outside. Alright, timer blocks. So we're going to depressurize. So if we go to set up action. So when we're depressurizing, I think one of the things we want to do is lock the doors so they can't be opened while the stuff is cycling. So these two need to be off. And then the I guess they should already be closed, right? So we shouldn't have to worry about that. And then the air vent. Depressurize on. Do I want multiple timer blocks? I probably want multiple timer blocks, don't I? Because that way I can make sure the doors are closed. Yeah, we're going to need multiple timer blocks. Alright, let's set up depressurize with multiple timer blocks. So we're going to have depressurize 1, and we're going to have depressurize 2. I'm just kind of working through this as I go, so. Alright, do that, and then timer block. Depressurize 2 is going to say start. And depressurize 2 is going to have a 2-second delay. Let the doors close. And then it's going to depressurize the vent. We need 3 timer blocks. I don't know how fancy I want to get, actually. So we kind of need time to depressurize. Let's get really fancy. I want to give it like 3 seconds to pressurize. Then we'll fire depressurize 3, which will unlock the doors. On and on. Okay, I think we can depressurize now. That's the theory. So if I go to this, I basically want to do a trigger now on depressurize 1. We should lock the doors, depressurize, and then unlock the doors. Here we go. That's probably a little fancier than it would have to be. But let's go ahead and get some timer blocks set up here for the pressurize. I need a bigger data center. Now we can just come out. Get the parts for that. And we're going to do we're just going to do the reverse with the pressurized sequence. That way it's all timed nicely together. And then we can tweak the timers if we need to. Alright, so we'll manually repressurize this. We'll close that. You could also do event controllers like on the door state, but then you waste a little bit of oxygen. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. Yeah, let's go make sure we're charged up. We'll see if there's some kind of panel I can maybe put on the floor. I'm not sure if that would... I guess there's not much of a transition, so that's okay. Alright, so let's go look for our timers, and let's get these guys renamed. Reset the name. It's going to be ref timer block. And replace name. And then we're going to have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll just make all of these silent. Okay, so when we go to pressurize, we're kind of doing the opposite, but we do need to make sure the doors are closed. So it's going to be a little different. So we want to say, let's make sure they're on. And then tell them to go closed. And then we're going to say pressurize to start. And we're going to give them... They should close pretty quick. We'll give them 2 seconds to close. And then the doors are closed, so then we can say vent depressurize off. And then we're going to fire pressurize 3. I don't remember. Did we give it 4 seconds last time? 3 seconds. And then once we're pressurized... Oh, I needed to lock the doors in the other one. Actually, no, if it's pressurized, we want to keep them locked, don't we? So do we only need 2 to pressurize? Since we're not unlocking the door. Okay, so we want to turn them on, make sure they're closed. And then in pressurize 2, we'll lock them. So off and off. Then I'm going to need a button panel to either pressurize or depressurize, I think. I could just use another button. For timing, that's going to be fine. Alright, we want pressurize 1 trigger now. Let's depressurize, and then we have pressurize. How's our oxygen tank doing? 9.8%. Perfect. Okay, let's test this out. So we're going to do a depressurize. And we can also, like, set the light colors. That's a thing I want to do. Alright, I heard this guy, so yeah, we're all good. So let's have these doors open. We'll just make sure it's going to work properly. Pressurize, doors go in. This guy fills up with air. And then I shouldn't be able to open these. These should be locked. Okay, cool. Do I have lights on here? Yeah, I do have lights other than these. Let's get these renamed. And we're going to say these are hab lights. Crap. That's not what I wanted to do. Sure. Trying to remember how this works. And I should be able to paste. Nope. 13 properties. It may not work on the different types. There we are. Those worked. Not these. Yeah, that's going to work for the inset lights. So the way I'm doing that is when you have this pulled up, if you hit insert, it goes to copy mode. And then you can say page up to copy. I want to hit home to get out of copy mode. And then when you're just on something, you can hit page down to paste. So it just copies the settings. Very handy. I don't know if it works on the corridor light. It does. We'll just rename all these interior lights. It works. This one... Oh, it did work. I must have messed something up before. Okay, so now if we go to look for ref interior light, put these in a group. Then with the new functionality, we can change the color of them. So when it's depressurized, I want them to kind of glow like a soft red, maybe. And then they'll go back to white when they're pressurized. So let's try that. Pressure. So depressurize, setup actions. We're going to go to groups, interior lights. I'm going to say set color. We just go nice and easy. Then unpressurize when it's done pressurizing. We'll set them to back to white. All right, let's give that a whirl. Might want to set the intensity as well, but you get the idea. Okay, then we're depressurized. Doors are unlocked. We can go outside, do whatever. And if we pressurize, close the doors, and then it's all back to normal. And the doors are locked. Let me out. All right, so I need to set up more buttons, but I can do that off screen. I'll need a button outside to let us in. Actually, do I have a button out there? Let's go look. I know I had other buttons set up. I could also have it open the doors. Yeah, I do have a button here, so. This can be timer. So this would be depressurize 1, trigger now. That'll let us in. And did I have another? I had another button set up somewhere. Not sure what I did with it. So we could put a button here. So if we go to here, vertical button panel. And you could also set up like sirens and stuff as well. I want to have an alarm bell sound as it goes and whatnot. Alright, and then this is just timer depressurize. Trigger now. And then what I should also do is I should set it up so it turns the blocks off. So you can't like depressurize when it's already depressurized. Let's work through that logic. So if we go to timer block. So the last thing this should do is turn off the depressurize timer blocks. Well, but then if I go to turn back on, it's going to be off. Yeah, let's not mess with that. We have a thing, it works. Let's go for it. I don't think it matters if we push it again, right? It's just gonna do stuff. This is where doing this with event controllers might be better. Because it'll do stuff. Especially shouldn't do anything, it's just gonna redo everything it's already done. Here we go. Alright, the last thing I want to set up is the oxygen tank. And I need a couple of event controllers for that. So I need one more event controller. Or no, I could just use one. We'll make it work. Alright, so I think it's... Is it like tank filled? Yeah, gas tank filled percent. Oops. Gas tank filled percent. Alright, if it's less than 20%, we want to fill it. And it is this guy. Then for actions, we're going to say connector. Connector. I think I called it airlock. Yeah, airlock 1 and 2. We're going to say lock and unlock. Alright, and then if we switch this so it reinitializes, should fill that. Connector not going. Let's go take a look. Yeah, it is locked. I need to set it to stockpile. Oh, are we out of ice? Thought I'd brought a whole bunch of ice over here, but it's possible we're out of ice. So it's not running. Ah, we're out of ice. That's why. Indeed. We went through a lot of ice. Well, I need to send the drone over and bring some ice. So, but that's the idea. So you can see the connector is connected. So once we have ice, it'll be making oxygen. It'll fill that tank up. Once it gets to 20%, it'll unlock the connector. So I'm pretty sure I got that from Engineered Coffee. It's a neat little idea for automating, keeping your airlock tanks topped up with an event controller. But, anywho, we'll take a look at the cargo drone next episode. I'll show you how I have that set up. And like I said, it mostly works. So it should, in theory, fly over there. I think the only thing left over there is ice. It's going to fill up with ice, and it's going to come back and dock. That's the theory. Thanks as always for watching, folks. I'll catch you in the next space adventure.